What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm D.Knight, and it's rivalry time.
Cause it's game time and I'm ready. Game time and I'm ready. Yeah, it's game time and I'm ready. Game time and I'm ready. Can't stop my hustle. No, you can't stop my shine. I ain't come to make no friends. I just came to get what's mine.
Welcome back to the Miami Dolphins franchise rebuild here in Madden 20. So we ended up just losing to the best team in the NFL in the final moments. We are competitive, which is exactly what I was hoping that we would be. However, we still only have 3 wins. Next up, we have the Eagles, who are actually the 4th best team in the league. So we're going to have another tough matchup. Luckily, this one's at home, so maybe we can get a little bit of an upset win. But the first thing that I wanted to do was offer a contract to our star running back, Kenyon Drake. He wants 12.9 over 4 years, a little bit over 3 years, or $3 million per year, which is actually very good because that's going to take him up to 29. He might actually be a 90 overall by that time, and then he's going to start to regress. So I'm okay with giving him that. I'm actually going to bump it up just a little bit, give him a little bit more of a signing bonus. We have the money. Let's see if he accepts. He loves it. Perfect. Well, hopefully he can stay healthy. Right now, there is nobody else that I really want to offer any money to. So let's check out our upgraded players before we do the game here. So Jerome Baker has an upgrade, which is good. He's kind of playing middle linebacker. He might end up being switched to outside linebacker depending on the draft, depending on free agents. I'm going to keep him at field general so he can continue to get those weekly bonus upgrades and some good upgrades there. We also have a practice squad member, Ken Webster, getting an upgrade as well. You can come be our slot there for us, big guy. Hopefully get you in the scheme fit, which doesn't look like it actually worked. That's a shame. But I did a big oopsie last episode because I actually simmed games. That's why Rosen's stats were a little bit underwhelming. Forgot that the settings that I have are actually for every game to at least be played or simulated, whatever. But we can't just sim over. So our game that we're actually going to be watching this episode is the New York Jets, and then we're going to sim all the way to the offseason, get this season finished up. But you guys aren't going to see the long drawn out. I'm going to pretty much click into play the season game, and then I'm going to edit it all the way to the box score. We'll talk about the game a little bit, but I'll be watching. It's about an hour, but the Jets will be the showcase game today. So let's see if we can get a win against the Eagles. So we end up losing 17-9. Our rushing game, again, could not really get anything going. We also had 5 sacks. I really am contributing our offense struggles to the offensive line, so I'm definitely going to have to address that in free agency and the draft. Our defense, even though they gave up 433 yards, they did get 2 turnovers, 2 fumbles actually. So our defense kind of continues to keep us in games. We had an opportunity to actually get into the end zone at the end of the game. Rosen did end up throwing an interception at the very end. But our red zone percentage, even though it was 2 for 2, we had to settle for 2 more field goals. We need to be able to score touchdowns instead of field goals. Player stats wise, Wentz is actually great. He was 25 of 26 for a touchdown, 235 yards, 117.1 rating. Rosen, 78.6, 223 yards, 74% completion. Was sacked 5 times, so that hurt a bit. Rushing wise, Drake had 15 of 53 for 3.5. Jordan Howard had 11 of 49. Clement had the only rushing touchdown. Wentz did have the fumble. Receiving wise, Alshon Jeffrey had 7 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. Allen Hurts had 5 of 35. Gesicki had 5 for 30. Tackles, Jerome Baker was everywhere with 17 total tackles. Nigel Bradham had 13, Rashad Jones with 9, Sendejo with 8, and Minka Fitzpatrick with 7. TFL-wise, Minka had 2 sacks, Brandon Graham had 2, Deshaun Hall had 1, Devon Godshaw had 1, Josh Sweat had 1, Christian Wilkins had 1, and Fletcher Cox had one. The only pick on the game was Sidney Jones. At the end of the game, he returned it 11 yards. Nothing too big, but we really want to get back into the win column unless we are really actually tanking for Tua. We are ready for our showcase game against the 6-6 New York Jets. However, we do have some upgrades to do first, so let's take care of those. Minka Fitzpatrick with another one. I mean, the guy is up to superstar dev. He is making us look great. So let's go into scheme fit here. He's 84 overall now, +2 on tackle. That'll work. Devontae Parker as well has one. I think we're going to keep him with the scheme fit, which is physical. Let's put it in. He's up to 81 overall now. Any good ones? +3 on short route. Okay. Kenyon Drake as well with one. I think we're actually going to go into receiving back on this one. He's way up on the scheme fit, so let's give him a little bit of opportunity to catch out of the backfield, since we do have him now as our primary back for the next couple of years. +2 catching for him. Mike Gesicki as well, and I think we're going to go with possession to try to get him closer to scheme fit. He's actually he's doing very well this year. He's producing very well, so he might actually be our tight end through the future here. A ton of upgrades for him. Ooh, +2 on spin move. I'm sure he won't be using that anytime soon. Josh Rosen. He's going to stick with the field general archetype. He's going to go up to 73 overall. Jury's still out on him if he's going to really be our QB of the future, or do we have Tua slide down and actually take that over? Preston Williams as well. Now, he hasn't really been doing much this year, but with Alan Hearn's contract being up, I do believe we're going to use him as a 3rd or 4th receiving option. We're going to keep him as physical, 67 overall now, +2 catching traffic and +2 short route. Nice. Isaiah Prince, our backup tackle, he's going to get an upgrade, and we're going to go into agile for him. And just one across the board, not too bad. Now we are going to be jumping into this game against the Jets. We're going to jump in with EA Sports and listen to the commentary, so enjoy.
Hey everybody, it's the coach. This is the NFL on EA Sports. Coming up, we'll see the Dolphins and their new man in charge, Josh Rosen, as they square off against second-year man Sam Darnold and the new-look New York Jets. I'll be back with you again with scores around the league at halftime, but kickoff right around the corner. And standing by to call the action, here are Brandon Gaudin and Charles Davis.
It's an afternoon probably best suited for skating in Central Park, but we're across the river and we are in for a cold one at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford. A few moments ago, the crowd here was on their feet as their beloved Jets made their way out of the tunnel. They're ready to go. We're ready to go, and it should be a good one as those New York Jets get set to face off with the Miami Dolphins. Hi again, everyone. With Charles Davis, I'm Brandon Gaudin. And Charles, you look at this Jets ball club. They come in playing pretty good football. Winners of 4 of their last 6 games.
And the offense last week, they had things humming. If you're a defensive player, you may get overshadowed a little bit, but you're really buoyed by what your offense is doing.
Meanwhile, for our visitors, the Dolphins, it's late in the year. We all know it. We've seen the calendar for these guys. Their bodies could probably use a break, but they have to push on.
And they're really not as worried about that as maybe we think. They know they've got the entire offseason to rest. All they care about is the game in front of them and finishing strong.
On 2nd and 12, Darnold. And he fires one that's intercepted. Picked off by Rashad Jones. And he will bring it back. It's a pick 6 and a Dolphins touchdown. So a pick 6 there out of the nickel package. They went with 5 DBs.
Almost becoming the base package in the NFL is the nickel. Hard to throw against. That was demonstrated one more time. A pick 6 going the other way. I guess you could easily say there's a whole lot of real estate in front of them if they want to achieve their goal, which is get to the other end zone.
Yeah, 99. Oh, and he's not going to make it out of the end zone. The push too strong, and that'll be a safety. Well, I think you can go ahead and give your punter an assist on that one. Pinned him deep, and the defense comes through with 2 points.
You're exactly right, partner. This was all set up by a great punt, and if the ball goes in the end zone, this never happens. So great call. Give the punt team and the punter.
2nd and 4. Darnold. Throw complete to Herndon. Now he's going to get this all the way down inside the 35. And by the end of last year, Herndon had solidified himself as the primary tight end for New York. And overall, 2nd leading receiver in 2018 on the team behind Robbie Anderson. In fact, his 39 catches, most among rookie tight ends in the league a season ago. This from 44 yards out, left hash. And Forbath will put this one through. And that will cut the lead down to just 2. So chalk that down as an 8-play drive capped with a field goal.
Yeah, as a friend of mine used to say, they were moving and grooving for a while, but they couldn't keep the momentum going enough to get a touchdown out of it.
So we have reached halftime here in a tight 2-point contest. As we'll get you down the coast to Orlando for Jonathan Coachman at our EA Sports Halftime Report. Coach!
All right, Brandon, we'll get back to you and Charles in a bit. But first, let's get to some of these scores around the NFL here in a busy Week 14. We'll begin in upstate New York, an AFC matchup between Baltimore and Buffalo at New Era Field. And that one tied 3-3 in the second quarter. From there, we'll head down to the Big Easy. Check on the Saints at home at the Superdome. And they trail in that one as it's the visiting 49ers who are out in front. The 49ers seem to be on their way to what would be a good victory. Finally, we're off to Atlanta to check on the Falcons at home at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And that one all even as they play the visiting Carolina Panthers. Meanwhile, in our game, it's been a defensive struggle. Which offense can break through in the second half? To find out, let's hand it over to our broadcast team of Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
Let's take control right away.
Yeah,
Defense, we got the lead. Defense, don't give up any points. Turn the ball back over to the offense and let them go down and score and give us more of a cushion in the game. Check so far. Defense shut them down. Let's see if the offense gets done.
19 yards to pick up there. Move the chains.
Your better players and maybe try and hit something big and get things going in the excitement area.
Faking the give to Drake, now Rosen. And that's caught inside the 30. What a play that turns out to be, 36 yards.
That's a great job of working the sideline right there. I love how he tracked the football the whole way, just reached up and pulled it in, had excellent field presence to understand where he was in order to make that play happen.
Second and 5. They'll keep it on the ground. It's Drake. And he takes it down to the 10-yard line.
Let's go.
Sets him up nicely. First and goal. It was a pickup of 14.
Yeah, they really needed to get something going, didn't they? They had punted on the last 2 possessions. The running game starting to come to the front for them, providing a nice pickup there to keep this drive going.
He's crossing. He's checking crack.
From the gun, it's Rosen. He's got it. Touchdown, Dolphins. Allen Hurns, his second touchdown on the season. And the Dolphins are able to extend that advantage. A nice throw there by the second-year quarterback.
And I don't believe that was the kind of play he would have made as a rookie, because usually your rookie season...
I think offensively, all kinds of options. A shotgun snap for Darnold. Newell's got it, complete. And he is out of bounds, but not before he's inside the 30. A good pickup there, 26 yards. Some 6 yards and sets them up with a 1st and goal. On the ground with Ripkowski. And he's going to take it in for a Jets touchdown. Aaron Ripkowski, his 2nd touchdown on the season, as they have now chopped this lead down to 3. Well, they weren't messing around. 1st and goal, they don't do anything fancy. They just go to the 4.
You're not ready. You're not ready. 43 is the mic.
Play action. It's Darnold. Into the hands of his receiver, Anderson. And they'll get it all the way up about 5 yards shy of midfield. A 1st down there on a pickup of 25. This might be the best of the bunch.
43 is the mic.
On 1st and 10, Darnold. And he's got it complete to Anderson. And he is tackled inside the 40, not quite to the 35. Add the gain here to the previous play, and it's better than 40 yards total. For 2 yards on 1st down. To the air again, Darnold. And he'll get this into the hands of Braxton Berrios. And he's got another 1st down as he's brought down at the Dolphins' 24-yard line.
Never make the mistake that the slot receivers, especially the little guys like we're watching here, are just quicker than fast. A lot of them combine quickness and speed, and they catch a lot of footballs, as we just saw there.
Throwing the ball to start the drive. Darnold to throw again. This will be caught by Brown. And able to get him down, but he does reach the 5. Another big gainer that time. This one goes for 19 yards. Tell you what, he's been able to put the ball in some tight spots all game long. That throw, no different.
Yeah, a lot of people would call it a gutsy type of a throw. I think he looks at it as, I can do it, so it's not that big of a deal to me, and I'm going to keep firing.
Let's take the touchdown off the board.
No doubt about it, and this is where you make a great movie scene, right? Go in, route.
And he's in. Touchdown, Jets. Chris Herndon, his 4th touchdown on the year. And the Jets have taken the lead.
There it is, partner. You see it. 4 fingers. What does that mean?
Fingers. That signifies the 4th quarter's here.
That's right. Who's going to dominate? Usually both teams.
1st down is the tackle made at the Jets' 41-yard line. Back to throw. Completes it to Hearns. He takes it across for the touchdown, and they've taken the lead late in the final minute of the 4th.
Wow. 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 I know it's a never-say-never situation. But to me, that looks like that's the one that's going to finish them off.
The score that puts them in front here late. But now you got to rally your kick team, don't you, and say the last thing we need is a big return.
And what happens is guys get overeager, get out of their lane because they're so excited they want to make the last tackle.
4 sacks so far in this contest. He's back to throw.
I'm a little surprised right here. They've got 3 timeouts left. The clock's...
And that's going to be intercepted by the Pro Bowler, Xavier Howard. Well, that puts a little bit of a wrinkle in their comeback bid.
Yeah, everything had turned around for them, hadn't it? I mean, things were now going their way. But you did mention it's a wrinkle in their comeback bid. It's not the death knell for them by any stretch, but now they've got some extra work to do in order to climb all the way back.
than done. Now one final throw here is incomplete, and that is how this one will come to an end. Well, going into the final play of this game, they knew that they needed some type of a miracle there at the very end, but they couldn't get it done. However, we were treated to really a spectacular affair.
Even though they didn't finish it off, you're exactly right. They took us down to the last play. You're wondering, could it happen? Possibly, even though we both knew it was a long shot.
So for the Dolphins, it's a fourth win on the year as they move to 4-9. And they'll have another road date next week with the New York Giants. Meanwhile, for the Jets, it's a potentially fatal blow to their playoff chances as they drop to 6-7 on the year. And they'll be on the road next week for a matchup with the Baltimore Ravens.
So we ended up leading pretty much the whole game. The Jets, I thought were going to make the comeback victory, but then the 41-yard touchdown from Rosen to Hearns, and then the game-clinching interception by Xavier Howard. That was actually a really fun game to watch, even though it was just 7-5 at halftime, and the offenses couldn't really get anything going. We did end up with 291 total yards. Again, 380 for the Jets. Our defense knows how to get turnovers. They don't do very well at slowing down teams, however. So we really have to figure that out. But they only gave up 19 points, which ultimately led us to the victory today. 2 turnovers, so that's awesome. We actually got a touchdown in the red zone. So we're really starting to kind of put everything together. It's very, very nice to see this team continuously compete. I'm pretty excited about our future. Player stat wise, Darnell was 26 of 37 with a 76.3 rating. Touchdown, 2 picks. Rosen, 131.6, 82% completed, 2 touchdowns, 199 yards. Each week he's making me figure out if I really want Tua or not. I'm pretty sure I would take Tua over Rosen, but right now he's making it very difficult. Rushing wise, Drake, 21 carries for 56 yards, 2.6. Couldn't really get anything going on the ground. Bilal Powell was 19 of 51, so same thing from the Jets as well. Receiving wise, Bilal actually had the most receptions. He had 6 for 25. Devontae Parker, 5 for 56. Christopher Herndon had 5 for 63 with a touchdown. And where's our man Allen Hearns? He had 2 catches for 56 yards and 2 touchdowns. Talk about being efficient. Defensively, tackles-wise, Rashad Jones had 10. Leonard Williams had 9. Jerome Baker had 9. C.J. Mosley with 9. Brandon Copeland with 8. And Eric Rowe with 8. TFLs, and there were a ton of them because the defense just pretty much stomped everybody. Brandon Copeland had 3. Blake Cashman 2, Quinnen Williams 2, Leonard Williams 2, and Jerome Baker 2. Sacks-wise, Jordan Jenkins had 2, Charles Harris had 2, John Jenkins with 1, Devon Godshaw with 1, and Brandon Copeland with 1. Interceptions is going to be 1 for Rashad Jones and 1 for Xavier Howard. Of course, Rashad Jones was a pick 6. So a good win against the Jets. Now we're actually going to the same exact stadium to face the 7-6 New York Giants. First thing we have on our plate, we are going to offer 2 contract extensions. 1 to Eric Rowe, but I kind of want him more as a 3rd cornerback. So we'll see if he'll sign just straight up. There it is. Good. And then also Robert Kendiche, again, just another guy that I kind of want as a backup. They're young. They have an opportunity to go even better. So we got both of those guys re-signed. That's awesome. We do have a couple of upgrades here. Andrew Van Ginkel, who we are going to stick with the scheme fit as a run stopper. He might actually start getting some more starts. So he's now a 69 overall, plus 3 on block shedding. Mike Hall as well. He's going to go into the power rushing archetype and get plus 3 on power moves. Michael Dieter, our rookie guard, who is having a miserable season. We're going to get him in the agile archetype. He's now a 65 overall. And +2 pass block finesse. Julian Davenport, our starting tackle. We're going to keep him as agile. I doubt he's going to be starting for us again next year, but we'll see. 64 overall, +2 on run block finesse. Shaq Calhoun, our backup guard. Pretty much backup lineman is all. Let's get him into agile here. And +3 pass block, okay. And Tabor Pepper, our long snapper. 40 overall. Buddy, you're probably going to be cut. Just FYI. +5, I'll beat you, bro. Good grief. Alright, so I'll see you guys at the end of the Fins-Giants game. Another tough loss as the Giants pretty much controlled everything. We did have a chance to win at the end. However, Rosen did throw yet another timely interception. Our defense still being that bend but don't break, only giving up 13 points but 337 yards of offense. We only had 238 yards of total offense as well, but our rushing game actually came around with 88. So not too bad. We didn't get any turnovers. Again, we settled for another field goal in the red zone. We have a long way to go. For the player stats, Eli was 103.9 rating with 260 yards and a touchdown. Rosen 65.5, 171, only a 62% completion percentage. He actually started 1 for 7, which was terrible, and then he threw that interception late in the game. Rushing wise, Barkley had 90 yards, Kenyon Drake had 56, Balaj had 28. Chandler Cox did have a touchdown, so good for him. Receptions, Barkley had 7 for just 7 yards. Russell Shepard has 6 of 64. Golden Tate has 6 for 81 and a touchdown. Evan Engram had 5 of 61. And the leading for the Dolphins was Albert Wilson, who had 3 for 29 yards. Tackles, Alec Ogletree led with 12. Rashad Jones had 10. Xavier Howard had 10. 9 for Jerome Baker, and 8 for Andrew Van Ginkel. TFLs, and there were another ton. Kareem Martin had 2, Devon Godshaw had 2, Christian Wilkins with 2, Andrew Van Ginkel with 2, Eric Rowe with 2, and Jerome Baker with 2. Sacks, Dalvin Tomlinson had 2, Dexter Lawrence had 1, and then Christian Wilkins had 1. Interceptions, Alec Ogletree was the only one with the interception, but it was the decisive one towards the end of the game, with us driving and possibly getting back into the game or even getting the win. We got 2 more weeks to go, and our next game is at the 7-6-1 Cincinnati Bengals. We don't really have anybody else we're trying to extend on contracts wise. We do have some upgraded players. We got Christian Wilkins to keep as, actually we're going to add the power rusher. Gets him up to 79, +2 power moves. Need him to have a little bit more rushing techniques in there. Devon Godshaw, who we're actually going to add rushing as well to him. He goes up to a 77 overall, +2 finesse moves. Evan Bime, who's actually one of our starting offensive linemen, let's go into agile. +2 on pass block finesse. And Chris Reed, who is our backup center, we're going to go into agile for him as well. Up to a 60 overall, +2 pass block and 3 pass block finesse. So let's see if we can get another victory against the Bengals. We are now in the 4th draft position. I kind of feel good about that because the 3 people in front of us have quarterbacks. It's the Broncos, who still are paying Flacco a lot of money, and they also have Drew Lock. The Redskins, who have Dwayne Haskins. The Bills actually have passed us, so good for them. But let's see if we can get the win against the Bengals. And we get the win, 37-19. What a weird football game this was. So we ended up scoring 2 special team touchdowns, 1 on a fake field goal, 1 on a blocked punt. We got a safety from our defense. We also got a pick 6 from our defense and 2 touchdowns from our offense. We did have 318 yards on offense, 89 rushing yards, which is getting closer and closer to being a high for us, 229 passing yards. Our defense did end up giving up 370 yards, but it still did the bend but don't break. Only gave up 13 points, gave up a touchdown at the very end of the game. We did have that 1 turnover, which was a pick. Red zone efficiency again, 2 for 2, this time 2 touchdowns. So we are starting to look like a very competitive team each and every week, so I like it. As for the players' stats, Dalton had a 108.5 with 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 112.2 for Rosen, 207 yards with a touchdown. Rushing wise, Drake had 57, Joe Mixon had 86, Bernard had 10, Balaj actually had a 6.6 average and a touchdown. Receiving, AJ Green had 119 on 5 catches and a touchdown. Mike Gesicki was 5 for 71 with a touchdown. Tyler Eifert, 5 for 42. Mixon had 5 for 6 yards. Defensively, Bobby McCain led in tackles with 11. Nick Perry had 10. Preston Brown had 10. Eric Rowe had 10. Jerome Baker had 9. He's up there every game now. Xavier Howard had 9. And Rashad Jones had 9. TFLs, Jesse Bates III had 2, and Eric Rowe had 2. Sacks, Christian Wilkins had 2, Sam McGuavin had 1, Carlos Dunlap on the Bengals had 1, and our pick came from Eric Rowe, who also had the safety as well, so he actually ended up scoring 8 points. Attaboy, Rowe. Way to earn your contract, my friend. Here we are in the final week. We have the New England Patriots, who actually are leading our division with a 7-8 record. And if we actually beat them, the Jets could possibly sneak into the playoffs as the AFC East division winner, which obviously it's a very low division this year. Guess Brady's not quite having the year that he wants to. But right now we are 4th for draft position, and the guys in front of us, which are the Redskins, they have Dwayne Haskins. Vikings, who have Kirk Cousins. The only one that scares me is the Broncos. They have the number 1 pick, but they do have Flacco and Drew Lock on the roster, so I'm not sure if they're going to be taking a quarterback or not. My feelings are starting to get really excited that we can possibly steal Tua at the number 4 spot, but we do have some upgrades, so let's see who we got. First one we have here is Bobby McCain, 26 years old, 76 overall. He's not really getting a lot of playing time, but with switching Minka to the slot cornerback position, he actually has 92 tackles, so he's actually doing very well. We're going to keep him with the hybrid scheme fit, and let's see what we get. +3 on tackle, like my man needs to learn how to tackle anymore. Allen Hurns as well. Now for Allen Hurns, I haven't offered him a contract because I think I am going to be using Preston Williams as the other side to Devontae Parker, with Albert Wilson in the slot, and then Hakeem Grant as well in the other slot. But we're going to keep him physical, and 76 overall now for him, which is pretty solid. Gets +1 in a couple of categories. James Crawford, who's actually one of our backup linebackers. We're going to put the points into power rusher here since that is the scheme fit, but I'm not sure if we're really going to be keeping him on this roster moving forward. +3 power moves. Isaiah Prince, who this is his second in a couple of weeks, so we're going to keep him with agile, try to get him as a scheme fit, and hopefully get him as a decent backup. +2 run block, +2 run block finesse. And Danny Isadora, who is another one of our backup linemen. Not sure if he's going to be fitting in with the backup at all, because, I mean, 59 overall is not what we're looking for, especially if we have an injury. But our line right now is low 60s anyway. Let's put him in agile. Now he is a 60 overall, +2 on run block. That is nice. So let's get into the final season game. I will see you guys when it all wraps up. All right, so another tough loss for the Dolphins. We should have actually lost 24-13, but the Patriots, for whatever reason, decided to try to kick a field goal with seconds left on the clock. Dolphins ended up blocking it and scoring a touchdown. So yay for us, we showed life at the very end. But our defense, we gave up 340 yards. We did have 2 turnovers, which were 2 Brady interceptions. However, the bend but don't break defense continues to work. Again, we only lost by 3, should have been 11. But our offense really needs to figure stuff out. Only 198 yards total offense. Our rushing actually almost got to 100 yards again, but our passing yards 111. Gave up 5 sacks. We only converted 2 out of 3 times in the red zone, and again, one of them was a field goal. So we have a lot of things to work on. Player stat wise, Brady 104.3, had 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Rosen, again, a decent day, 86.5, 148 yards and a touchdown. Rushing, White was 19 of 50, Kenyon Drake 17 of 56, and then Balaj 6 of 31 with a 5.1 average, so I'm keeping notice of that. Receiving wise, Gordon went off, 7 catches, 132 yards and a touchdown. Mike Gesicki 6 for 35. Ben Watson had 6 for 38 with a touchdown. Demaryius Thomas 4 of 46 with a touchdown, and Allen Hurns 4 of 59 with a touchdown as well. Defensively, tackles, Jerome Baker, no surprise here, led the team with 15 total tackles. Raekwon McMillan in its game back ended up having 12. Eric Rowe had 10. Van Noy with 8. TFLs, Jerome Baker led with 3. Sacks, Michael Bennett had 2. Chase Winovich had 1. Landon Roberts had 1. Dietrich Wise had 1. Raekwon had 1. And then Harris and Wilkins had a half a sack apiece. And also Minkah Fitzpatrick. Didn't see him there. Good job, Minkah. And pick-wise, Eric Rowe and Bobby McCain had the interceptions, as Josh Rosen didn't throw any. Well, we finished the season at 5-11. We've pretty much up and down, but tell you the truth, for the worst team in the NFL, I think we did pretty good getting 5 wins. We were outmatched pretty much in every game. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode. When we come back, we will look at the season stats, league leaders, and then we'll start diving into the free agency and figure out who we're going to be drafting in the draft. I appreciate you guys watching, and as always, stay frosty, and I'll see you in the next episode. D.Knight, out.
They thought it was a game till I came back with that win.